So, our workshop today is Know Your Number, the Enneagram, and Leadership. And this is presented again by our Leadership Center. And so we'll touch on what the Enneagram is, the different types, and how it relates to leadership. So before we start, I just wanted to introduce myself real quick. So my name is Andrea Specht. I am a senior deaf education major, and I am a second year student leadership consultant here at the Leadership Center. I will be presenting this workshop for you guys today, and I am super excited to be able to. I'm super pumped about this. I think it's a great topic, so I'm so glad you guys are here. Now, before we get into the actual topic, I just wanted to touch on what the Leadership Center is. So we actually have a physical space here on campus. It's located in the second floor of the Student Center, right up the stairs in a clear glass room. There is opportunity for students to come on in and just study, do work together in groups, or even have meetings within our space. So it is open to students and staff to be able to utilize. It is open during COVID, so you do not have to worry about that. And there's staff that come in there and they clean. We also host multiple different programs through the Leadership Center. So we have our Kent Talks, which we take hot topics and be able to share stories and different perspectives. We also have Lessons in Leadership, where we go live on our Instagram, as well as these leadership workshops that we present to you guys. Here at the Leadership Center, we also have a leadership model, and this model represents what you can do in order to make change. So there are 3 different areas within this model, and that is interpersonal, interpersonal, and community. And this model also guides all of our programming, our events that we host. Haley, is everything okay? Sorry,
Yeah,
Haley's sharing the screen for me.
Yeah, can you see it?
I cannot.
There we go. 1 second. It decided to disappear.
There we go. So this is our model. So like I said, there are 3 different areas in which we strongly believe in which you work towards, you can create change. So our workshop today will actually focus on the intrapersonal aspect of the model with our self-awareness and personal actions. So I'm super excited to be able to dive a little bit deeper into that aspect of our model. So as a workshop overview, I'm going to explain a little bit of what we are going to do today. So for this workshop, again, we are discussing the Enneagram and how it relates to leadership. So with this workshop, you'll be able to identify the Enneagram and what it is used for, identify and kind of have a general understanding of the different types of the Enneagrams, the different numbers, also be able to have a general understanding of the different types and how they react to situations of growth and change, and understand the benefits of knowing your Enneagram. Haley, is the PowerPoint working?
Oh, it's on my end, but if you can't see it, then that's a different story.
There we go.
Can you see it now?
Yes.
Sorry about that.
You're okay. I just want to make sure.
It's okay. Every time I changed the slide, it decided to go back and not share. So hopefully we're good now.
Technology has been great today, I think, for everyone. So I first just want to know your guys' initial thoughts. I kind of want to know where your experience has been with the Enneagram, if you've taken the Enneagram, what type are you, and if you know anything about it. So if you could please share, I would prefer if you would be able to turn your mics on and share that way. But if you do not feel comfortable, you're more than welcome to use the comment section.
I don't know anything about the Enneagram, so I'll be learning all about it.
Well, that's awesome. Hopefully we'll be able to teach you a little bit about it.
Mm-hmm.
I actually got familiar with my name's Victoria. Nice to meet you guys. I got familiar with the Enneagram this summer. And And I did take the test, and I took it 3 different times, and I'm pretty sure I got 3 different numbers. But what I do know that's cool about it, because it's like a personality test compared to the Myers-Briggs, is that like every single person has a certain percentage of each number, because like each number represents certain like kind of like traits about yourself. So I think it's cool that it's more like dynamic, I guess, than just labeling you as just one number. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's definitely a very unique aspect about the Enneagram that makes it very inclusive, if you will. Anyone else?
I can share, Andrea. I highly resonate with my Enneagram number. I think it shows up in almost like every aspect of, my personality, but also how I communicate with others and how I interact with other people on teams. So I highly identify with my Enneagram number, but it took me a little bit to really narrow down what number I really align with, if you will.
Mm-hmm. I'm still not 100% which number I kind of gravitate towards more. So I think I lean in between multiple. Well, thank you guys for sharing. That's awesome. I'm so glad that we have kind of a diverse group of people here, and I'm so excited to be able to share a little bit more about it if you know nothing, or be able to explain it a little bit more, maybe so that you're able to connect better with the different numbers. So let's get started. First, I just want to explain a little bit about what the Enneagram is not. Now, the first bullet point is a little controversial. So it says that it's not a personality test. However, it can be classified as it, but I mean it in the way of it doesn't necessarily make blanket statements. So, like you were saying about everyone has a different percentage of characteristics and traits about their personality. And that's what makes Enneagram so awesome. So, it's not like one type or one number is like your entire personality. It has different aspects and different traits of it. So, it's not like a blanket overall personality test. It's more of like an assessment so that you kind of have a better understanding of like who you are, what your fears and motivators are, and more of that aspect rather than blanket personality. It's also not an excuse for behaviors. So you don't use an Enneagram to be like, oh, well, I'm just a number 9, so I act this certain way. It's not an excuse for those types of behaviors. It's also not your full and true identity. So you'll be able to, if you take the Enneagram, if you have not, or if you've already taken the Enneagram and you know your core numbers, you will be able to fluctuate between different numbers and different aspects and traits depending on the different situations that you're in. And it's also not accurate 100% of the time. So it will not give you the same number each time you take it. And that is okay because it knows that it's not 100% accurate, as it is not your true identity. So maybe you're feeling more one way one day when you take it, more another way another day. So it will not be 100% accurate each time you take the quiz. So we covered what the Enneagram is not. We're going to kind of explain what the Enneagram can be used for. So as I kind of mentioned last slide, it is able to be used for your potential fears and desires. It's like, what are you afraid of and what do you want in life? It also can identify your motivations. So what motivates you and encourages you through your everyday life and in the different situations that you're in. It's also a great navigating tool for team dynamics. So if you have a whole team and you take it as a team building activity, then you're able to kind of better understand who you're working with and how they react to different situations. And it also can be used for which body center guides us. So it's able to help us understand, is my heart guiding me? Is my head guiding me? Or is my gut guiding me? So being able to kind of understand your potential desires, your motivations, how you work within a team, and what body center guides you, you can be able to better identify yourself and your personality and how you react as yourself. Now we're going to go through the different types of the Enneagram. So in total, there are 9 types. We're going to start with type 1 and go through all of them, just kind of a general overview. We do have resources at the end of our presentation that we can give to you guys if you prefer to go more in depth with each type. So the first type is called the moral perfectionist, the reformer. So this core type desires being good and being right. and they fear being bad or being wrong. So they're very much the person that tries to decipher good from bad and right from wrong. Common characteristics of this type include they're very principled, so they have a strong sense of right and wrong, as I mentioned. They're also quality minded, strong attention to quality and detail, so they will look for those fine details and kind of make a decision and being principled. And they're also objective, so being able to judge those details without bias, kind of having more of a black and white view and is this inherently bad? Is this inherently good? And they try to stray away from those gray areas. They do have blind spots, which can be known as like the bad characteristics of it, but these are just blind spots as you are able to grow these throughout your understanding of the Enneagram and being able to like understand where you may have weaker strengths. So their blind spots for this type can appear critical or impatient as they're trying to figure out what is right and wrong. They may have trouble accepting when another has a different opinion on a topic they feel strongly about. So they're very opinionated people. They have very strong opinions towards different aspects, and they might have a hard time communicating or dealing with someone that may have an opposing opinion to what they feel strongly for. And they also may be unaware of body language when becoming angry, upset, or annoyed. So they are not really aware of how their body is answering all the different situations they're put in. They kind of just take on the emotions rather than think about their emotions. The second type is called the supportive advisor. This is one of the types that I kind of fit into. There's two types that I kind of go between to see which one I am. It depends on which test I take and which mood I'm in. So type 2 is I feel connected to. So their core desires are being loved or wanted, and their core fears are being unloved or unwanted. So the opposite of their desires. Their common characteristics include warm, people-centered, and praising. So they have a natural nurturing presence. They kind of take on that mom role, if you will, in a friend group. They also tend to put others first, even at own expense. So they rather say yes to a situation if they know they won't be able to actually handle it because they want to make someone else feel happy or be able to help someone else. They're also very supportive in offering words of encouragement and trying to motivate others to do well. Their blind spots or weak spots, they may become overly giving and forget their own needs, as saying yes to so many different things and then their plate becomes so full that they can't handle it. They may be unaware of hidden intentions behind generosity. So that's kind of being fake generous. Well, maybe if I support them in this, they'll support me in this. So it's kind of that, and it's hidden for them. So they're not really sure if they're truly being generous or if it's kind of a hidden aspect of it. And then they may also lack attention when trying to meet needs of multiple people at one time. So it's kind of like how you have maybe a lot of friends and you're saying hi to every single one of them. And then you get like so many texts back and then you kind of forget to text them again. So kind of that aspect of it where you're able to like, you want to say hi to every single one of them, but then the quality is not as well as the quantity of people they're trying to help. So that's type 2. Type 3, on the other hand, there we go, is called the successful achiever. So as the title says, their core desires is they want to be successful, and their core fears is they fear failure. So their common characteristics include driven, efficient, and adaptable. So they are very driven. They will not stop until they achieve their goals. They also are very efficient and they utilize all their resources well, and they want to be able to figure out what they can do in their path in order to be successful. And they're very adaptable and willing to adjust to ensure success and making sure that they do meet those goals that they want. Their blind spots include confidence and certainly can close off new perspectives. So they're very focused in what they want, they're very focused in their success, and they may not have certainty with those different perspectives and looking at it a different way. They may become workaholics and have trouble relaxing. They'll just constantly work and kind of exclude their own self care. And they may appear uncaring, opportunistic, or insincere. Again, are the kind of people that go straight for their goals and that's all they kind of think about. So they do have a struggle in being workaholics and not really taking care of themselves or helping others. So they're very one track mind to success. The fourth type is called the creator. So their desire is to be significant or unique, and their fear is having no clear identity. So these people really want to set themselves up. They want to be able to be seen as different and kind of stand out among the crowd. Their common characteristics include self awareness, they're sensitive, and they're inspired. So they have a strong sense of self, which one will need in order to have a unique identity. So they have a strong sense of who they are. They tend to be aware of the emotions and are willing to actually express them rather than bottle them up. And they tend to be very creative and draw inspiration from their surroundings. Blind spots, however, they tend to overfixate on searching what is missing. So they won't really see who they are, but how else can they be different? They focus their focus are highly relational, but push people away if they feel the other isn't giving enough to the relationship. So they tend to see relationships somewhat one-sided, even if they may not be. So if they feel are putting so much into this relationship, friendship, and they see that the other person may not be giving it 100% like they are, they might try to push that person away and not really realize their reasoning. And they can overshare emotions and appear dramatic to others. So they can be very emotional, outspoken about their emotions, and kind of be a little bit of a dramatic person. The fifth type of the Enneagram is the thinker. So their desire is to be very competent and they fear being inadequate. So they want to be able to know, be knowledgeable, and they do not want to have the feeling that they're not enough. Common characteristics of the thinker include curious, self-efficient, and innovative. So they're constantly pursuing more knowledge. They're constantly trying to challenge themselves. They want to know all the information they want to know about and be able to learn as much as they can. They tend to also be very independent. They rely mainly on themselves rather than on other people. And they will use resources and knowledge to create a vision. So they will take all their information that they learned and they'll make it into their own vision. Blind spots, however, they likely to detach from emotion and focus only on the facts. In trying to share knowledge, they may come off as know-it-alls as they want to learn everything there is to know about everything. They might come off as know-it-alls, and they can struggle with commitment and relationships and resources and jobs. They want to know all the things. They want to try all the things. They want to challenge themselves. So they struggle with being able to stay in one spot for a long time. They really thrive off of change. The sixth type of the Enneagram is called the loyal guardian. So their core desires are being secure both physically and emotionally, and they fear being without support or guidance. So common characteristics of this type include prepared, team-oriented, and devoted. They're very alert and aware of the potential risks. So they're able to identify their surroundings and be able to see where potential risks may be, where faults may be, and where they may need to prepare to be fixed. They're team oriented and they thrive in collaboration. They love working with different people, being able to come to a conclusion and just kind of work together with a lot of different people. And they're very trustworthy. They will act on behalf of the greater good. Their blind spots or weaknesses, the anxious sign due to their need to feel secure. So they may feel very anxious as their fear is to feel insecure, as they want to be supported and guided. The skeptical to the point of questioning others' trust. So they do not trust that easy, as they want to make sure that this person will support me, this person will be able to help me. So they are a little bit too skeptical, and they tend to project fears onto people. The seventh type of the Enneagram is called the entertaining optimist. So they desire to be satisfied or content, and they do not like being trapped whatsoever. So, as the title suggests, one of their common characteristics is optimism. Are also flexible and adventurous. So they tend to focus on bringing joy, being that positive entity, seeing the positive in even a negative situation, and just trying to find the good in every situation. They like to keep their options open and adapt easily, and they're very playful, spontaneous, and they look forward to the next event. They're also the type of people who do not like sitting for too long. They enjoy the change, they embrace the change, and they kind of enjoy the challenges. Their blind spots, however, they're quick to pick up new skills, but maybe overestimate their ability. So they may think they're more skilled than they really are as they're trying to pick up new challenges very quickly. And they may come off as flighty. This is because they do want to try everything and be able to be adventurous. So they may hop from one thing to another and may seem flighty. And they gloss over emotions like negative feelings. They don't want to feel that negativity. They don't want to feel that pessimism. They want to be very optimistic and see the joy and happiness in every situation. The second to last type, type 8, is called the challenger. So these people really enjoy and crave independence, and they do not like being controlled whatsoever. Characteristics of this type include assertive, decisive, and influential. So they're very confident and very direct with what they want. They act quickly on gut instinct. As soon as they're like, I know this is what's going to work, this is what I'm going to do, and they go right for it. They're very influential too. So they impact others and have the ability to guide towards a larger picture. So they see that large picture and are able to just go for it and be able to reach what they see. Their blind spots, however, their strong energy can come off as intimidating. Again, they're very confident people and they have a direct way of communication, so they may come off as intimidating. They may act too swiftly and can leave team members that need more time to process feelings overwhelmed. As we said, they're very decisive people and they just go for it. They know what that feeling is and they'll just go for it. So they may leave people behind that have additional time that they need to work with in terms of that. And they also tend to conform to the rule, not conform to the rules. So they live by their own rules rather than someone else's. Now, the last type, this is another type in which I feel resonated with. I kind of go between type 2 and type 9. So this one is called the peacemaker. So their core desires are being harmonious and having peace among people, and their fear is being separated from others. So common characteristics of this type from the Enneagram is connectedness, understanding, and genuine. So they value feeling connected to others, nature, and emotion, being able to have those strong relationships with other people, and being strongly connected to their emotions. They also demonstrate empathy and listening skills. They're very active listeners and they're able to put themselves in other people's shoes and understand what other people are going through. And they tend to be very authentic to who they are. Blind spots, they can appear lazy when they're passive. They like to avoid conflict, which can lead to a hard time addressing situations head on. So they will do everything they can to avoid the conflict rather than addressing it and being able to come to a resolution. And then trying to make sure needs of others are heard, they may present so many viewpoints that they draw out conversations. So they tend to have too many perspectives, and then with too many perspectives and too many resolutions, you're not able to come to a full agreement. So now that we kind of like went through all of the 9 different types of Enneagram numbers, I just want to address a little thing about wings. So wings are numbers directly to your left or your right of your core number. So your core number is that one that you has the most amount of percentage. So for example, someone with a core of 6 would a wing to number 5 because they demonstrate qualities of number 5. So this is a way of kind of showing how the Enneagram can be flexible and fluid in this aspect. So if you identify as a core of 6, where you have characteristics of a 5, where you have characteristics of a 7. Not everyone has a wing. So your Enneagram test, if you take a free test, they will not have the answer of like, oh, well, you're a wing of 4, or you're a wing of 5, or you're a wing of 9. They won't have that in an actual test. They'll just give you your core number. So you may have to dig a little deeper to discover your wings, as that test won't reveal to them. All right. So now we're going to talk a little bit about the different types in stress and growth. And then after that, we'll kind of be able to discuss with one another and see which ones you may have resonated with, which ones you feel are completely opposite. So we will have time for discussion. I just want to explain a little bit about times of stress and growth, so that you're able to identify maybe a little bit better as you feel some situations you may be more of a 5, or some situations you may be more of an 8. So here's a little chart for you guys. It's super cute. So the arrows on the chart to the left show the numbers that we act like in, I have to change that. So the left, the swirly little arrows show times of stress, and the straight arrows show times of growth. So if you're a number 1, for example, at the top, and you're in a very stressful situation, you may tend to lean more towards the characteristics and traits of a 4. Whereas if you're in a situation of growth and relaxation and self-discovery, you may act more like a 7. So that chart is there for you guys, and to kind of like see where you may be or where you may fall. So I'm going to explain just a little bit about each of the situations of growth as we move on. So in situations of growth, now this is when you feel relaxed or you're experiencing self-enlightenment. So these individuals, if you're feeling kind of like in a good situation, you may take on the traits of a different type. And these are not wings. This is separate from wings. This is completely different numbers. So this occurs because individuals feel comfortable allowing themselves to explore and better understand who they are in safe environments. So they're able to explore deeper into their personalities, into their motivators, into their fears, into their desires, and kind of explore who they are. So they're able to kind of shift into different types and different cores. So for example, 8s may become more helpful and caring towards friends and family when comfortable and relaxed like 2s. 8 and 2 are completely opposite numbers in the sense of they're not wings. So I just want to explain a little bit about how your growth is not what's next to you, but rather what you kind of shift into. And there is a chart that I'll show you guys as well. However, in terms of stressful situations, it's the same kind of thing, but with stressful situations. So when people are put in times of stress, they tend to do what they can in order to push through. So they'll take on characteristics in order to just get through that situation. So they'll take on the strengths of another type so that they're able to get through, but they'll also take on the weaknesses of the types. And because your stress type is not your core number, these weaknesses tend or could be heightened. So for example, similar example for the 8s, 8s may become knowledge focused and curious like 5s, but they might also withdraw completely from others for long periods of time, adopting a prime blind spot of type 5s, and may outshine the experienced strengths. So when you're in a time of stress and you take on the characteristics of another type, you also heightened that weakness of that type, which could outshine your current strengths of your core type. So I have a little chart for you guys. This chart shows all 9 of the Enneagrams. So you have peaceful, moral, supportive, successful, romantic, thinker, guardian, optimistic, and challenger. If you look at those lines, so there are lines connecting all the different types. So if you look at number 9, the peaceful mediator, so 9 connects to 3, which is the successful achiever, and 3 connects to 6, which is the loyal guardian, and then 6 connects to 9. So all 3 of those numbers are connected, and that shows how individuals can either act in times of stress or act in times of growth. So that's why those lines are there. And it goes for all the numbers too. So all of the numbers are connected in a certain way to show the connection between times of strength and times of growth. This is a good chart too, to just have an overview of all different types and kind of their names. So as a recap, we have Number 1 is the moral perfectionist. Number 2 is the supportive advisor. Number 3 is the successful achiever. Number 4 is the romantic individualist. Number 5 is the ingestive thinker. Number 6 is the loyal guardian. 7 is the entertaining optimist. 8 is the protective challenger. And 9 is the peaceful mediator. Now, before I move on to continue, I just want to have a quick little discussion in the chat. You can turn on your mics. You can use the discussion chat. I wanted to know, after I've explained a little bit about each of the different types, I was curious if you guys kind of resonated with one or another or multiple, and what about that type made you feel connected.
I can share first. I definitely felt the most strongly connected to number 4, which was the creator, because I feel like in my life, my desire, is to like do something that's significant and like meaningful. And without that, I feel like I would not be fulfilled. And in times that I haven't been doing those things, I feel really unhappy. But on the other hand, I also like can fixate a lot on what's missing, and like kind of I think this related to another one where it was kind of like you kind of are so like creative and inspired, and you see all these ideas that you almost kind of feel stuck sometimes. So I think that was like a downfall that I've also related to.
Is number 4 any of the ones that you received when you were taking the test?
Yeah, I remember when I took it, like one time my main type was number 2, and then the other time my main type was number 4. And I also connected to number 2 a lot. So
okay. Yeah, and it's definitely, you can go in between depending on like how you're feeling a certain day, and they do tend to change as you change as well. I see a couple comments, which is awesome. Thank you for sharing, by the way. All right, for me, I felt connected to supportive advisor because I always try to help others. Yeah, I'm the same way. I definitely connect with that one as well. Willow said I wrote down 1 and 4 and 8 as we went through, but you don't exactly remember the characteristics. So I can go through one real quick. So 1 is like that moral perfectionist and reformer. So they're the kind of people that look at things as bad or as good or right and wrong. Number 4 is the creator. So they want to feel significant and unique, and they kind of struggle with having no clear identity. And number 8 is the challenger. So these are the type of people that want to be very independent, and they do not like being controlled whatsoever. And they're very direct in what they want. Rihanna said, I would also say supportive advisor. I'm very person-centered. Yeah, I agree with that. I feel if you're very empathetic towards people, I think connecting with that supportive advisor, I believe that was number 2. So I resonate with that one as well. Thank you guys for sharing. That's awesome. I'm so glad that you're able to share. And I'm glad that you marked down which ones you kind of resonate with, maybe so that you're able to better understand the Enneagram. I know when people first started telling me about the Enneagram, I was always very confused. I'm like, I don't understand. So I think having a general overview of what it is first is awesome. Thank you guys for sharing. So I do have one discussion point. As we are the Leadership Center, we connect everything to leadership, as this Enneagram has shown from previous slides that it's very good to understand other people's Enneagram in a group dynamic, so you're able to like work together. So I wanted to bring it to you guys. What does knowing your type have to do with leadership?
It could better help you in a group setting if you know like what kind of your downfalls are. You have to navigate those and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's right. Being able to like understand where your weaknesses are and being able to understand that and be able to kind of change that weakness into a strength, right?
I was also gonna add, you can also understand your strengths and like kind of capitalize on those like to lead as well, to become a better leader at, with things that you're already kind of good at.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's exactly right too.
Yeah, I was just going to echo what Willow shared. I definitely have noticed my blind spots before in different like leadership situations, and just being self-aware ahead of time, like heading into a really stressful situation, can be helpful. That way, if you like notice yourself kind of portraying some of those blind spot characteristics, then you can maybe turn it around and try to go towards those like times of growth.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely being able to be self-aware in both your strengths and your weaknesses. We have a comment that says knowing the traits of the group will allow you to understand where they're coming from. Yeah, definitely. So being able to understand their types, being able to, well, maybe this is their weakness, maybe this is what they desire, maybe this is what they fear. Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you guys for sharing. That's exactly right. So even though it is a personality test, it can definitely help being not only just a leader, but as a collaborator within a leadership opportunity. Awesome. So I have one more slide of information for you guys, and then we can give you your resources, and we will also touch on different events that we have coming up. So I wanted to inform you guys about the benefits of the Enneagram and the importance of knowing. So knowing your Enneagram core number can give you a greater knowledge of yourself, as we did discuss in our group discussion, which was awesome. So you can know your desires, your fears, and your motivations. So what do you want? What are you scared of? And what will pursue you for success? You can also understanding these will help you in leadership situations, as we did discuss as well. And knowing the blind spots of your stress number can help you better understand how you respond when stressed. And again, that's not your core number, but that's the number you tend to rely on in order to push through your stressful situation. So being able to understand that number's blind spots can help you better understand how you respond to stressors. And then knowing the numbers of those on your team or around you helps you ensure successful collaboration. So being able to see where they're coming from and how they react in stressful times and how different situations help them in their growth. So that's awesome. You guys are super awesome. I'm so glad you guys know so much about the Enneagram now and are able to hopefully implement it in your leadership roles or in your collaboration efforts. So I have a couple of resources. So these are all the resources that we used for this presentation. The Enneagram Institute, I know, has a free Enneagram quiz if you guys would like to take that. So you're able to maybe better identify what your core number is by taking a test rather than reading through and connecting with one of them. We also use Enneagram of 9, core motivations, and Crystal. Crystal was the examples for the times of stress and for the times of growth. So now I'm so thankful that you guys came and are able to learn a little bit more about the Enneagram. So I'm just gonna do a couple promotions for the Leadership Center. So on March 2nd, we have our Kent Talks, and this is on the First Amendment. It is through Zoom, and all Kent State students and staff are more than welcome. Kent Talks is a program that we take hot topics and are able to share stories in order to gain a better and more understanding perspective. And then we use a curriculum based method in order to support team um, individual encouragement and a supporting and safe environment for people to share their experiences. We also have our leadership awards is coming up, so we are calling for nominations. So if you know anyone in your organizations, in your classes, friends, or anyone in your life at Kent State, we have nominations for their leadership. So the deadline for this is Wednesday, February 24th. So that is approaching. It is this week. So that deadline is at 5. Again, if you have anyone that you recognize as a leader or an amazing group on campus, nominate them in order to receive a Student Leadership Awards. Also have our Lessons in Leadership, and that's with Katie Mattice. So Lessons in Leadership we do on our Instagram Live, and that'll be Thursday, February 25th. So that is this week. So tune in at noon at Kent State Leads in order to watch their Lessons in Leadership and kind of understand their experience and their leadership experiences as well. Now, before I won't finish, we want to hear back from you. So if you could take your phones and scan this quick QR code, it is a little survey about our workshop. So if you could please do that, we love to hear feedback and how we can improve or different workshops you want to hear about. So we greatly appreciate any feedback that you have to give. I appreciate you guys coming. It was so awesome. I'm so glad we were able to have awesome discussions and be able to kind of have more of a connection with the different types of the Enneagram and have a better understanding of who we are as people and how we react in different situations. So thank you guys so much. I hope you enjoyed our workshop today.